Well, even though the November jobs report was a bit better than expected, some economists are predicting that global instability could roil the markets in the very near future. And it does seem like a perfect storm is brewing in the unrest in China, as well as inflation remaining high. So is there cause for concern? Here to discuss that, the president of Walser Wealth Management, Rebecca Walser. Rebecca, good to have you back. There's a lot going on. First of all, you've got a housing market problem in China. You've got some instability there. And, of course, you never know if they're telling you the truth about, well, much of anything. Inflation is high here. We do have better energy prices today than we've had. But you've also got the government wanting to interfere in all sorts of places that they really shouldn't be pretty much all the time. So where would you like to start?
Oh, gosh, Steve, it's such a big world, right? I mean, we can go with China first. You know, obviously, we saw them supposedly ease up on some of their COVID zero policies. And that's really necessary because, but, you know, I think they might use that also as subterfuge, Steve, because I do see an economic collapse in China. It really started last year in their real estate market with the Evergrande collapse that we knew was coming for a while. And we were really alerting people and they were just like, no, no, no. And it's like, yes, yes, yes. You know, you can't artificially promote greater than, 7 plus 8% growth with your banking system without actual, like the ghost cities that they build and all of these things that they've built. And as you know, Steve, China works a little bit differently when people can't really, they either spend, save, or buy real estate. So the way the Chinese invest is they buy more real estate. And so they will actually get a mortgage before a property is even built, pay on that mortgage while the property is being built. And that's their form of investment. So you have a lot of people repealing that and saying, we're not going to pay our mortgages if these properties aren't finishing getting built because their real estate market is really in a tailspin. So China's definitely having some massive economic issues. I think the Foxconn, right outside of the Foxconn, which is the Apple major Apple manufacturer in China, that really got some looks, I think. And people said, oh my gosh, not only is Apple's quarter going to be affected substantially, but this could happen with a lot of our outsourced manufacturing in China. And I think that's what maybe moved the needle a little bit with the CCP.
Well, Rebecca, let's be honest. I don't want to buy products that are made from child labor, slave labor, forced labor. I don't care what term you apply to it. It's true of Nike. It's true of Apple. It's true of all of these companies that work in China. I've seen Chinese fishing ships and canning ships parked off the coast of Central America. I can only imagine the condition inside of the children working in those ships. And yet, here we stand. We never say anything about human rights in America anymore. Remember, you're old enough to remember, I am too. Human rights used to matter to America on the world stage.
Yes.
We don't even talk about it anymore. The Uyghurs, the poor Uyghurs out there being, destroyed by the Chinese Communist Party. It's sad to me.
Well, I think that it's so sad, but it's also so hypocritical of Americans because we want to be able to shop at Walmart with cheap goods, right? We want to be able to watch our NBA games. But when the NBA comments at all, like we saw last year, about anything that's going on with human rights violations in China, the NBA literally, when assistant coach of the NBA tweeted something about the human rights violations in China, the very next day, they cut off all of the games from being broadcast. And that went on for a substantial amount of time. The NBA lost billions of dollars. So I think that American businesses have a little bit of a problem because the Chinese model, Steve, as your audience knows, I'm sure, is that it is a communistic government, but it is a quasi-capitalistic economy, meaning that they do have investment and it's state-owned as well. So we start to think, oh, it's a free country because we can make all these American products there and we can have jobs there and we can have, supplies made there. And it's not the case at all. So they've really divorced successfully their economy from their government. We aren't like that in America. We have a lot more rights over here and we expect that we kind of broadcast that to the rest of the world. The rest of the world doesn't have it. And so it's really sad that American businesses and specifically the NBA and many others, I mean, all of these franchises, these major sports groups are all sort of beholden. They see China, Steve, as their frontier. They see that America's tapped out. They believe that the next frontier of growth is the 1.4 billion people in China and 1.3 billion people in India after that. So that's what they're gearing themselves to.
Well, and I get that, but there's only so much return on that. And if we don't get our act together here at home when it comes to energy, for example, France is building 14 new nuclear reactors as we speak.
Yes.
Germany has reopened all of its closed coal power plants. What are we doing? We're taking out Cat D9s and bulldozing them into oblivion, the ones that we have. We're going to rely on windmills in Michigan and solar panels in Michigan in the dead of winter. Newsflash. The wind doesn't blow much in winter. You get high pressure systems and it doesn't blow. Oh, God, by the way, we have the Great Lakes that puts cloud cover over the northern Midwestern region for months at a time. Newsflash, that is a really stupid idea. China's building coal-fired power plants. France is building nuclear power plants. We're building, I don't know what the hell we're building, Rebecca, except a surefire loser. Am I wrong?
No, and you're not wrong. And now you're getting really into the gist of what's been happening this year in 2022, which is this global push by, I would say, central bankers of the world through the World Economic Forum to really move to different energy policy globally. And, you know, you can see in the Netherlands how they're literally confiscating 3,000 farms as we speak. They're coming up with these fertilizer reductions that make farming not economically viable for many small independent farmers. This is all by design, Steve. So this energy push, we have a new legislation piece that's basically saying for the first time ever that your 401k investment doesn't have to be invested to the maximum returns available in the market, but can be invested for less returns in economically friendly and social governance friendly policies and companies, ETFs that are ESG approved. And so you're seeing this dichotomy of energy policy from reality in America. And what really gets to me at the very core level is it requires the American people to have some level of naivete and ignorance, because there has never been one study produced that shows that alternative energy can meet the energy needs of America. So they never would produce that because it's not possible. You cannot get solar and wind energy to equal coal or gas.
No, that's
or
right,
nuclear.
because you don't have the energy density. You don't have the energy density, and America runs on vast quantities of cheap energy. Anything short of that, our economy is a big problem. That's a bottom line. Well, people pay $8 a gallon for gas in Europe. I don't care. I don't care. Lay the map of Nebraska over Europe. Lay the map of Georgia over Europe. Lay the map of Michigan, Montana over Europe. You'll see how many countries it just gobbles up. People are just so dense and obtuse, they don't even have an idea how the world works. The problem is we have financially illiterate people running Washington. Rebecca, I'll give you the last word.
I think you're so right. And, you know, Steve, we just have to do everything we can to get the word out to common Americans that just don't understand what is this global push. We're seeing it in the Netherlands. We're seeing it in Canada. We're seeing it all over the world where they are trying to demonize, you know, energy that actually works for green energy. And the goal is not to replace our efficiency. The goal is to end the ability and the independence that we've had for, you know, decades and decades and decades since cars have been invented. And that's a big problem for people that are independent, free, and freedom loving. And so we need to wake up. It's coming.
Began with John D. Rockefeller and all the others that built this country and built energy independence for America. It took a long time. Never thought we'd see energy independence. Then we had it.
Yes.
For one term. Ridiculous.
One term.
For one term.
I agree.
Thank you for being here as always. Greatly appreciate it, Rebecca.
Thank you, Steve.